So these two brothers just traveled to America for the first time in their lives, but not for anything good. They were on their way to prison. Let me gist you about it. So this is Samuel, he's 24, and his brother Samson is 21. They come from a very responsible home. Their dad was a pastor and their mom was a secondary school principal. They weren't rich, but they did the best they could for their children, and they never went a day hungry. But for Samuel and Samson, it just wasn't enough. They would go to school and see other kids using iPhone, wearing the latest Jordans and Nikes, and that was the lifestyle they wanted at all costs. They wanted to be just like the cool kids. So it was in 2020, during the lockdown, Samuel and Samson would make fake profiles on Facebook to try and scam people. They started off with just posing as females and love bombing their clients into sending them $5 or $10 occasionally. But still, it wasn't enough. They wanted more. $10 was definitely not going to afford them the lifestyle they wanted. So as time went by, they tried to come up with more scamming ideas. Then one Saturday morning, Samson woke up and ran to Samuel with an idea, a really bright one. He told Samuel, "Guy, let's do this. Instead of billing our clients $10, let's seduce them into sending us news. Then we'll use it to blackmail them and get more money." Samuel couldn't believe it. It was an amazing plan. So immediately, they got their lappy and got to work. And just like that, together, Samuel and Samson started extorting people, giggling behind their laptops as they raked in dollars. And honestly, it worked for them. After just 2 weeks of bombing, they already made $15,000. They never wanted it to stop and they got away with it for years. It was always clean, no mess ups. Until Samuel and Samson had one client, Ted. Ted was 17, he lived in Michigan in US, and he was in the 10th grade. So Samuel and Samson talked to Ted for weeks using their fake profile as they usually do. Then they seduced Ted into sending them nudes. Once Ted sent the nudes, they demanded $10,000 and threatened to leak his news to everyone in his school if he didn't comply. Ted was so scared. Obviously, he didn't have the money and he couldn't even imagine dealing with his nudes getting leaked to the whole school. He begged and begged, but they didn't care. They gave Ted an ultimatum to pay the money in a week or else they would leak his nudes. So a week went by and Samuel and Samson hadn't gotten the money from Ted. They texted him repeatedly, but he didn't reply them. So Samson and Samuel just ended up leaving it, but they had no idea what was about to come. They continued their scams throughout COVID lockdown and it went well. So 2 years went by and they even got back to school and they stopped scamming because they didn't have that much time on them. Until one Sunday afternoon after church, it was a full house. Samuel was in the parlor watching a Man U match with his dad and Samson was in the kitchen helping his mom out. They were all at home chilling, so they ordered a pizza, but it was taking so long. But then finally, there was a soft knock on the door. Samuel's dad rushed to get the pizza, but to his surprise, he was greeted by 3 EFCC officers with a search warrant. "We are looking for Samuel and Samson Ogoshi." Their dad was confused. He shouted for Samuel and Samson to come to the door and explain themselves immediately. When they got to the door, the officer put the brothers in handcuffs. "You are under arrest for running a sextortion scheme." Samuel and Samson kept mute, but deep inside, they knew their past had finally caught up with them. And like that, Samuel and Samson were arrested and taken into custody. While they were in custody, they were called in for questioning. Then the officers revealed to them that this wasn't any normal case. They were being charged with running a sextortion scheme by the FBI. Samuel and Samson opened their eyes. FBI care. The officer told them one of their victims that they extorted committed suicide and they were going to be extradited to the US to face their charges. Samuel and Samson were in tears. They knew that this wasn't any regular case. They were in serious pepe. The FBI was on their ass. So now crime be this? Yes. Sextortion is the act of using sexually explicit information to threaten another person as a means to obtain financial benefits from the victims. What Samuel and Samson did, they thought it was normal Yahoo, what most people get away with, but it was a serious crime. They did it to over 100 victims in the US and it resulted into one of their victims, a 17-year-old boy, committing suicide. and the FBI wanted to use Samuel and Samson as an example. Samuel and Samson were charged with conspiracy to exploit minors, conspiracy to distribute child pornography, cyber stalking, and sexual exploitation of a minor, resulting in death. Samuel and Samson were traveling to America for the first time in their lives, not for holiday, but to face their charges, and they were both sentenced to 17 and a half years in prison. This isn't a fictional story, it really happened. In 2024, Samuel Ogoshi and Samson Ogoshi were sentenced to 17 and a half years in prison by the US Attorney's Office for extorting numerous young boys and men. On the 25th of March 2022, 17-year-old high school student Jordan DeMay died as a result of Samuel and Samson's extortion scheme. Yahoo isn't an innocent or victimless crime, it leaves families destroyed. Today, no matter what, the life of 17-year-old Jordan can never be brought back. Every action has consequences. Samuel and Samson wanted to use the latest iPhones and wear the coolest shoes in school, but now they are in orange jumpsuits wasting their youth in prison. Know the law and the crime, because ignorance isn't an excuse.